stop at right there by Glendale Community College.
Dressed as Santa.
Nice younger. No, I'm dressed in my civvies. You know? I pull up to the window, and this nice young girl is in there, and she's doing everything, and she's pulling everything together, and she takes my card and she stops. She looks at me. Has anybody ever seen you look like Santa? And I started laughing. I said, yes, dear, I play Santa for my lodge.
What? You're kidding.
Christmas. And she's like, no, oh my God. She started telling me other. That's awesome. I'm like,
Don't look like the Easter Bunny.
Have fun. I'm not going to bitch about it.
Yeah, exactly. We had a fella on our team at work, an older guy, the great big white beard, you know. And the holiday, they're like, well, you want to play Santa? He's like, he's kind of cranky old dude. I guess so. So they were giving out presents, and the other was up there with a microphone, and people weren't paying attention. He was being loud. Hot mic. Last time he was asked.
Goddamn kid.
It was funny because we're sitting there, we have a full Santa costume, and one of the brothers who'd been playing Santa for years had bought a really nice costume. He's got no point now where he can't do it anymore.
We have a post it on Facebook.
He's really in bad shape. So he says, he comes up to me and says, guess what? You're Santa now. So I showed up to be Santa, all decked out, all that night. And the ladies up there handles everything. What they do is if any of the brothers are bringing their kids or grandchildren, they ask them, please tell us their name. Give us an idea of what they would like. And what they do is the ladies go, they buy them presents and they have them set up. And so I'm sitting there and I have 3 of these ladies that are helping me. And the kids come up and say, and then one of the ladies and comes back. And then there's always a little tiny stocking with bits and pieces because you have the young kids and the older kids. And so I'm dressed, but I have to wear the white gloves.
Right.
Well, all of my white gloves have the Sonic symbols. All these kids know Masons.
Right.
So one of the kids comes up and he sees my gloves. So I take my gloves off.
I am their god, child.
And I showed him my Scottish Rite 14th degree ring and my Masonic ring. And he looks, he's like, and I put my clothes back
Don't tell anybody Santa's in the
We have one little girl, one brother's daughter, who did a drawing for Santa. She's 5 years old. Bill and I went out to deliver a
That was
letter.
so much fun.
So she had this drawing that she put it into an envelope. She signed her name to Santa on the front of it. So she comes up and her mom and so I opened it up after all the kids had gotten it. And I'm still sitting there. And I open it up and she's looking. And I waved to her. And then I went over before Santa had to leave. I went over and I thanked her for it. Right? She gave me a great big hug. And so I'm talking to the brother afterwards. A couple days later, I said, hey, you're not really good at nice job. Do you think she'd like it? Did a letter for Santa. That deal. Right? She's like, oh my God, she'd lose her mind. So I went to a stationery store and I found some really nice stationery and then old style envelopes. So not the ones with the big flap, but the side flaps.
Oh, okay.
And then I found a wax seal. Yes. So I got gold and red wax, mixed them together, sealed it. And Bill and I took it Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve we went and met this brother out by the Costco out by Avondale. Okay. I'm like, I'm sorry to do this, here it is. So we give it to him and then he told me later she just lost her mind. Because I called her by name, right? And I called her little brother by name.
Oh.
I thanked her for taking care of her little brother. You know, and it's like, oh my
Oh,
God.
Santa knows. He sees you when he's creeping.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's the other reason why I wore the white gloves, because when all the kids are there, never put your hands on the kids. Your hands are where the pictures are. Your hands are out here, so that everybody can see.
Oh,
Yeah, they're not adults.
White gloves.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It's so funny we were talking about Santa Claus because I was Tanner, one of the kids that he's not a kid, he's 20, 21. But I mean, our scale of looking
Yeah,
at
he's
it,
still a kid.
he's a kid. He's very wise.
I have
And
underwear
he cracks me
older
up.
than him.
I know. Me too. I have shirts that are older than he is. So, and I asked the Three Stooges. No. Marx Brothers. No. Oh my God. So then I'm like, Buster Keaton? No. Harold Lloyd? No. Laurel and Hardy? No. Fatty Arbuckle? No. God, no.
100 years ago.
Here it is. And that's what, but even so, George Carlin? No.
No.
Stephen Wright? Tim Allen? No. Robin Williams? Yes. So I said, you actually kind of know older comedians without even knowing older comedians, and you actually know the Stooges without knowing the Stooges. And we had a long talk about it, and I'm like, explaining the dynamic of, okay, look, the Marx Brothers are brilliant and the Stooges are brilliant because you're basically watching con men try to get into the upper echelon of society and the business world, but they don't have the skills or the tools to really pull it off, so they have to create fantastic diversions, or, because the best is, it's like, the Marx Brothers are more of like how the con unravels in the middle of the movie, and at the end, they just gotta get the hell out of there. Where the Stooges are different, it's more Dennis the Menace, where Moe actually might have the aptitude and the capability to get the task done, but Larry and
He hired
Champ or
idiots.
Curly, they're gonna fuck everything up, because, and they're not trying to fuck it. They really want to do a good job, but they're incompetent and not intelligent, so they don't know they're doing wrong and having lunch right on the whatever they're doing. And so he was like, no, I don't know anything, I've never heard of it. So then I explained that you actually know Curly because you've already said that you watched Futurama, and you know, we can't count the times that when Zoidberg was leaving a room, woo, 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 and all of a sudden this light on, oh my God, he does do that every time. That was Curly. That's a all of the noises that Zoidberg made are an homage to somebody 1,100 years before
Oh yeah. Well,
he
that's
was
like,
born.
I love to point out to folks that the Marx Brothers and the Stooges are two opposite ends of the same spectrum.
They really
So you
are.
have the physical, and they lean on the physical very hard. And then you have more of the cerebral, because I'm going to throw these one-liners, I'm going to throw some twists at you, I'm going to make you think about it when I put it there.
But here's some really complicated music in
Exactly.
between, and some singing, several dance
But you know what
thingies.
carried over from that? What comedy team pulled those two together better than any other comedy team during the 40s and the 50s? Abbott and Costello.
I was going to say Abbott and Costello, or because Abbott and Costello lean more toward the Stooges, because we were talking about this too. Jack Benny is famous for being cheap.
Yes.
His whole bit, and it's funny, and he says funny stuff, and he's an intelligent guy, and the whole fact that he can't play the violin at all, but he carries it with him, and then he'll like pretend to play it and then put it down and tell a bunch of jokes. That's funny. Same thing with Henny Youngman. He does, he can actually play it, but he doesn't like use it. It's just, it's Larry Feinberg, because the guy that got him into the Stooges was like, lose the violin, kid.
Yeah. But that was only because you had Bud Abbott. Bud Abbott, he was the sharp guy. He played the straight man. but he was the sharp man. He was the con man. He was the guy that he threw out these things that made the
He was
changes.
the Groucho-esque.
Lou Costello was
Standing in
the
front of you.
Lou Costello was the guy that did all the physical comedy.
When getting smacked and beaten up by Frankenstein
He would
and
pick up all those bits and pieces, and then every so often he would throw in the a little bit of the cerebral twist.
yeah.
One of the best ones was when he was the cook when they were in the military, and he's telling them, how do you figure out how many you need to make? How many of these biscuits do you need to make it? So he's writing it all out. Then he said, well, come here, now I need you to hold this one for me. Hold it in your hand. And he comes back and he does more. Now I'm going to take that one back. See? And I put it over here. And you're like,
What is this? Yeah.
Right.
And the worst thing now is that you don't have a Rodney Dangerfield. You don't have somebody that's getting them all together and helping them work together, and it's a free-for-all again, like it was in the 50s, 40s, and
We don't have a full draw.
No.
We used to have. We used to have that in the 80s. You know,
Yeah.
Seinfeld used to get some of that stuff to go together. Robin Williams was excellent.
Yeah,
at pulling
but they
these
all
things together.
Rodney. He's the one that got them, The only reason Seinfeld and Foxworthy and Allen and all of the rest of them was the success of Roseanne, for one, and Dangerfield. Because he was the one that taught them, stop stealing each other's jokes, stop fighting, work together, talk each other up, And it worked. You had a lot less feuds because everybody was fighting with Milton Berle back in the day. Jesus Christ.
You just play with everybody. You
Yeah.
have fun with the he stole my joke.
Yeah.
He stole my joke, I'm going to steal his joke, but we did it knowing that we're doing it and having a good time in the process. Right.
So I tried to, because he was just like, musicals, and I'm like, well, yeah, they're singing, but the Marx Brothers are a highbrow version of comedy that you wouldn't be able to do today because of it's super racist.
Well, everything is different now.
But you can still pull off that kind of thing without having to go to that level,
Right.
and still play that group. The problem is we've had this discussion too. We don't have the people that are making the decisions, that are writing the checks or choosing how to write the checks, that are willing to go on that level again.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a perfect example. Paint your wagon. Okay, who was going to pay money to see Clint Eastwood's thing? Who was going to pay money
Pay your
to
wagon?
see some of these guys sing?
The kid from Rawhide?
To the
trees. But what happened? That show, that was an incredible hit, and it still plays today.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible.
And offensive. I mean, talk about polyandry,
Yeah.
Not even polygamy, polyandry.
And so you're looking at all of this stuff and you're thinking, holy shit. But you could pull off something similar to that. But you have to really come up with a good, strong story. Nobody's written a powerful enough modern musical. I mean, I would not take Hamilton.
Wicked and Hamilton.
I wouldn't take those. Wicked is I guess is made a film.
I guess so. I haven't seen
But
it.
I wouldn't take Hamilton because of concern. The last one that actually did well in that genre was Phantom of the Opera. The most recent version of the Phantom of the Opera went very well when it went there because you could then pull in all these wonderful production values that you couldn't have had back in the 50s and 60s.
Phantom of the Opera pisses me off because not the songs but the whole setup is why women, Christine, Christine, my ex-wife, is fine, but she was obsessed with, and not because the main character's name is Christine. That's not the reason, but it's that whole. This is a submersive world that a female who secretly wants to be a singer or be on, musicals, she's going to totally dive right into this. And they do an amazing job. And the story has been pissing me off since the 80s when, what's her name? Fuck. She's in Genetic Opera too. And she has an amazing voice. but she was in
Yeah.
the redo that they did in the 80s with the two. And they're great. The songs are great. Everything's great. But it was, if some guy that was living in the basement at your work kidnapped you, told you were his angel of music, you'd be you wouldn't be able to stop screaming. But because it's the because it's a play, it's okay.
Think about this: you can't make it as a modern day. It has to take place in the
Gotta be a
19th
period
century.
piece. Yes.
It has to take
The
place.
same
in
thing
the
with
19th
Count of Monte Cristo and so
Exactly.
many others.
Now,
Yes.
you
yes,
can take
yes.
that storyline and you can morph it, but you can't build it. You can't do it the same. You can't say, all right, I'm going to have this guy, but rather than being in a Paris Opera House, he's going to be in a New York Opera House, and this is going to take place in 2025. And it's no bullshit. It doesn't work that way.
I'm onto that because it won't work the same way where they've taken Shakespeare and made Richard III with Ian McClellan, where it's kind of set in like he's Hitler.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Now is the winter, and he's got like, instead of like brooding in his room all alone, he's like in front of a podium.
Yeah.
And the way they did, I've always hated Romeo and Juliet. It's a love story. It is a story about murder and stupidity.
Well, see, all of those tales, all those storylines can be used, but you can't walk in and say, okay, I'm going to redo Romeo and Juliet, but I'm going to take it into the. They tried that.
They did it.
Yeah.
I disagree. I
It was-
really
it
enjoyed
went, but it-
DiCaprio
Really?
and Claire Danes. I really enjoyed it because they didn't change. The cast was really, really good.
Yeah.
So you've already got me there. The guy who played Mercutio, who later was Michael in Lost, where the hell is he now? You know, I still want to see a lot of stuff with him.
But see, you
He's probably in
can't-
a bunch of stuff. I don't mean to.
You can't do the old English.
You guys don't like the
You
like
can't do the
Titus?
old English in the
Okay.
I
modern
don't
time.
like that movie. Damn it. I
If you were gonna do it,
You try.
I'm really trying to
you've
leverage.
got to do it in the modern vocabulary, the modern language, and you've got to make sure that you can have the same story, but you can't have exactly the same story. You can't say, I am Mercutio and I am going to write down bullshit.
Just put a scratch. You
It's
have to
going
use
to
his
be more
famous
along the
line.
lines of, I'm going to take
Yeah.
you out.
That's also not fair from both of you because Hamlet holds so many #1 spots. It is Shakespeare's longest play. The full version of Hamlet is, dude, it's over 5 hours. So it's the one that Peter Cushing is the best before he was Grand Moff Tarkin. Well, we can't always do what we want to do. You see, I would like to play Hamlet, but you want to see me as Dr. Frankenstein. So I'll go put on the lab coat.
But you have to remember now, Hamlet plays very well in the original setting.
Yeah.
It does not play well if you take Hamlet, and we're going to take Hamlet and we're going to make it go off in Montana in the modern time, and we're going to have the fight going on between the families in Montana, the big money, but I'm going to do it all in the old English again. Falls flat. Now, if I put the same tale and I put it in the modern language, and I make the switch so that it's no longer talking about this noble house. I'm talking about Yellowstone. You're talking about these. This is the
I
same.
was going to say
pathway.
Elsinore.
Because
With
you-
Pam
yeah,
and
you
Bob
can-
and Doug McKenzie as Rosencrantz.
You can carry that stuff along, but you have to remember if somebody wants to see Hamlet, if somebody has a desire to see Hamlet, they want to see Hamlet in the grand. I'd love to see a modern remake of Hamlet with some of these great actors that we have available, done in the traditional and filmed in Scotland with the full regalia and done to the, just like Lord of the Rings. If I was going to do Lord of the Rings, you're not filming that in Texas, buddy. And
Don't mind the barrel cactus.
I'm sorry,
No,
but you're not going to get all right.
We're gonna have some fun. I married your mom. We're gonna have a party at the motel.
The
So-
best one that I think that they did, the modern
iterations.
well, classics. So it is classic, but filmed with modern stuff and modern special effects. Was Henry V from like the late '80s.
Yeah, I went and saw it in the theater with Kenneth Branagh.
It's still my very favorite movie.
It's the
Absolutely
best.
movie of all time.
It's the best
But it's
rendition of that.
done as Henry V.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
not done as Henry V, who owns the place down the
Henry
street.
V.
It's Henry V. And
Henry
they-
V, how are you
It's
this
not-
morning?
It's not lay on me, it's lay on. You
That's
know?
right. It's
Yeah.
done great. Kenneth
good.
Branagh has been one of the best for doing a lot of stuff like
Yeah.
that too. He brings it back, but he brings
Because
the
12,
emotion.
Much Ado About Nothing was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And that's a play about nothing. It's about nothing.
I mean,
nothing is going on. They get
yeah,
mad
I
at
mean-
Keanu Reeves and then they forgive him and that's the end of the play.
There's been a number of good attempts at these things, but that's what was pulled off in the 70s because they were willing to put this power behind it. So we got the Three Musketeers. We got all of the Three Musketeers, the books put on
Yeah, the
to
books are a lot
celluloid
darker than the...
that were done quite well. I mean, they were done as well as you could possibly. You couldn't get away with some of the things that were in the books.
No, there's like pimping and...
They were
extortion and
played
other
out
stuff going on.
extraordinarily well in the 70s. Now the remakes that came out, they tried. They worked very hard, but you didn't have quite the same production values in those later iterations from the late 90s. And you didn't
Tim
have quite
Curry
the same. You didn't have quite the same pull off in those, and that's unfortunate because you
No, they
had
were
the
more
opportunity.
comical. They were campy.
And
Yeah.
so, those are the ones that I would love to see, to bring some of those back. Quite frankly, I would love to see them cast Paint Your Wagon or Oklahoma with some of the modern singers. And I would be grabbing some pop stars and some of the folks like Bublé and that group, because these are people who can sustain a song and they can pound it out. And of course, I'm not going to have them, hey, I want to do this in the middle of Oklahoma, but I want you to sing this while you're out on there. Who's not recording in the film?
While the
Bullshit.
tornado is coming down,
I'm
we're
putting
going to
your
get the
happy
good
ass
angle.
into the studio, and you're going to record this with a full orchestra. When was the last time you got to work with a 100-piece orchestra?
They're talking about making not another scary movie, like 6 or 7 or whatever, and I'm in full support of this because stupid fun movies need to make a comeback. And like this, Tanner, Apple Dumpling Gang. I don't know what that is. Return of the Apple Dumpling Gang. Private Eyes.
Apple dumped the game.
Support your local sheriff. Support your local gunfighter.
Yeah, that's good.
Again, all of the like movies that were in the 60s and the 70s that were stupid fun. The story, Fabian and I started talking about how much we loved Jim Varney and Ernest. And Tanner had no concept of who Ernest was, and we explained. He was a local talent, he was actually getting success, he was working on a kids show, and then he got cast in a commercial that turned into a series of commercials that kind of like launched his career. So he wasn't in a lot of like other movies, but it gave him the power to make his own movies, and they were awesome, and they were along the same lines.
They
of
were fun
the
because-
Apple Dumpling Gang and
Yeah.
Clue, and a lot of the
They were
movies
done for that purpose.
yeah, they're not,
With-
do not think about this, don't
Yeah.
take it seriously.
At
just
no
have
point in
fun.
time did anybody come up and say, we're going to do this as a serious film with some comedic outlet. No, bullshit.
Yeah.
We're going to have fun. My tongue is planted through my cheek, and we're having a grand
Yeah.
old time.
It's
That
like
was
any
purpose.
Mel Brooks or even the Princess Bride was like, she doesn't get eaten by the eel at this time. What do you mean? The people like, you look a little scared. I just want you to
I
relax.
still want to see the Princess Bride redone with the Muppets.
With the Muppets.
And
yes.
I want Sweetums
to
as
be
Fezzik.
Fezzik.
That would be good. Yeah.
Anybody want a peanut?
I want to see, and Gonzo
was going to be Indigo Montoya.
Would be
And they talked
Inigo
about
Montoya,
Rizzo
and,
as
you know,
Mancini.
I could just see Gonzo standing there and just go, Fezzik, jog his memory.
Sorry. Kermit passing out everywhere. I'll take you all apart. I'll punch you all together.
That one would be a grand
Yeah.
adventure.
But Sam the Eagle has to play Prince of the You are all weirdos.
The only thing is, now, who would play Miracle?
We want royalties for coming up with this, by
That's
the way,
right.
Hanson Company. What time are we at?
Who would we have as Miracle Max?
24. My first choice would be Harry, the exploding guy. but that doesn't. He doesn't have a lot of. So honestly, who I would pick, Bunsen Honey. I don't want to do Bunsen Honeydew, but Dr. Teeth.
Dr.
Should
Teeth.
be Miracle Man.
Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. That would be perfect.
Janice will be slow. Don't say that. You know.
So are the cats.
And that would be the only time that you would see Miracle Max and Valerie having an
Valerie,
assistant.
that's
Because
his name.
Zoot would have to be the one who just go, hey man, go bring me some of that.
Animal can be on the Brute Squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or be the albino. Mel
The
Smith's
guy that
character.
would be the get the access the boomerang fish. Okay.
Oh. Okay, Kermit, with my boomerang. We don't have time for that today.
Ooh, yeah.
I think it was Lou.
Yeah, it was Lou. I can't think of his last name.
He's one of the few Muppets that had two names.
See, those are some good ones. Those would be worthwhile remakes. The other one that would be fun, quite frankly, would be to see, and I wouldn't want to call it The Princess Bride 2. I would want to give it a different name. What happened after the fact?
Oh, okay.
How things were after the fact. So you could have this tale as the after the fact, and maybe Fred Savage is telling his
Kids.
kids
break it down.
about this story,
Yeah.
which is the next one. So, well, my grandfather used to tell me this story, and I know I told you this story before. And have him say, well,
There's the sickie.
whatever happened?
Yeah.
Whatever happened to him? Well, they lived happily ever after. But what did they do? And then he's got to come up over it.
We're making it a tragedy. Well, as soon as they got out of the harbor, Wesley bled to death from internal injuries.
That's right. And that's the end of our film.
Internal bleeding.
Yeah, that would be. Have you read the book?
No.
No, I
I
haven't
saw
read
something recently that said there's, and I hadn't heard it called this, but it's The Princess Bride, The Good Parts. And apparently it's, I think that's the original or it's like extended version or not, but apparently that's, I was just watching some stuff that says you should read that book. And so now I need to go play that book.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if it's the same thing. Yeah.
Apparently it's a lot different, like Humperdinck is fat, and Humperdinck has like torture places underneath the castle, and he's one of these like... Humperdinck! Ah!
Nobody's listening. That's if I was ever to go back out to the war.
Dress as him.
Oh no, I would get myself a food booth because I would have the MLT shack. Mutton, lettuce, tomato. Mutton
The
is
lettuce is
just-
so perky and the tomato is ripe. I love it.
I would be doing the MLT shop.
Yeah. I got to get back on reading the classics. I did read Something Wicked This Way Comes, and that's another one that they actually made this a lot better when they made it into a movie.
Well, the book is like that.
The
big.
book's not very big, and it's like a really cool concept that he
Yeah, it's short
really
story.
should have expanded on.
Yeah.
But the problem is that now it's 2025. So the illustrated man doesn't hold the same impact that he did in the 19...
It's not as scary.
He's tattooed covered. Oh, like my neighbor. Yeah.
That's like, what was it? The latest Hellboy, the Crooked Man. It was a great idea. There was some good potentials there.
Yeah.
But I was a little disappointed with how it pulled off.
Yeah. I haven't seen any of the new Hellboys.
I love the character, and I like the comic books, of course.
The comic books are done after the fact, like the Dark Elf series, where it's, it's reflection. I didn't know that until I watch I may not have read all the books or read all the comics or seen it, but I go and I'm onto YouTube and watch here's what you need to know. Or the best one is, there's one called Thug Notes with Sparky Sweets. And he basically gives you, all right, today we're going to talk about, Catcher in the Rye. And he basically, like if you would never But to like the street level, this punk ass bitch. What's his name? Fuck. Hayden. Catcher in the Rye, the main character.
Oh yeah.
He's a little bitch, and the reason that's why he's sitting there drinking whiskey and he's got a do-rag on. He's hilarious.
That's like the, what was it? I guess
Please make more of those if you're wanting.
Kathy and Chad took Laura to Drunk Shakespeare.
Oh, awesome.
And I love the idea of that. I want to go and do it at some point in time, but I love the idea of it.
Better brush up on your Shakespeare if you want to do it drunk.
But from what I've seen, they're giving you the Shakespeare in almost kind of a Cliff Notes fashion. You're getting some of the Old English, you're getting a lot of it, but they're throwing in a lot of good one-liners and good singers and kind of bringing it around so you can understand.
Get
some of the
thee
things
to a
that go on.
nunnery.
That's right. Let me explain to you how this works.
This is why they say that, and this is why it's an insult.
Yeah.
And now, today, you're just like,
Yeah. No, for people like us, it's fun to throw that insult at people because then you look at it. One of my favorite insults, and I have yet to have a really great opportunity to use it, is intelligence has been chasing you.
you have eluded it thus far. If you continue to do so.
Forgive me, I'm about to kick you.
I did read The Time Machine, and that also suffers from the same fate as Something Wicked This Way Comes, where it's tiny, it's told in this like rushed format, and you're not really given a whole lot of description. You kind of have to put most of it together yourself.
It's kind of like the Robert E. Howard stuff. A lot of that is short stories.
The Conan.
But they're great tales. And that's part of the reason why I think when in the late 60s, early 70s, I guess really, when the Conan comic books came out, they did so well because there were those who had read the short stories. And they didn't lose the flavor of those tales. So we're not going to make this some kind of a really outlandish morality because this is taking place in a time when
There is no
morals were quite different. So, and they went for 2 decades. You had Conan, and Conan the Barbarian, the Savage Sword of Conan, and that was in the classics. And then they went to the Golden Age size again when they went to the full platform, and they did that for
And there was
at
The
least 10
Conqueror,
or
The
12 years.
King, The
Yeah.
Return.
So they did all of those comic books for decades, and then the movies got picked up in the late 70s into the 80s. Those went off and went very well. Remakes, I mean, you got Jason Momoa, and that was your selling
Still
point.
haven't seen that one.
You didn't miss much.
Either, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna bag on it too much, but it's not. He was early in his acting career, so he didn't have the chops. Now the other side of it is, Arnold didn't have the chops when he first played Conan, but
It's a different director, though.
well, and the other thing is that for that character, I would not have been looking for a Shakespearean actor. I would not have been looking for the traditional He-Man to run in there. Arnold was perfect for it because this is supposed to be somebody from this strange land. And the accent, he had gotten past the accent just enough, you could understand it, you could get a feel for it, but he played it very well. They cut his lines to the right length so that he could put it out there. So that he could, when he gives a soliloquy, I'm going to give you 5 or 8 words, and I want you to say them with
Conan, what is
strength.
best in life?
I'm going to give you another 5 or 8 words I want you to say. So when he's making the prayer, and he's talking before, he says, you know, if the only thing that matters is if they remember that few stood against many. And if you can't help us, then the hell with you. I'll do it myself. You know,
Dun, 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 dun,
and that was
dun,
perfect.
dun, dun.
You cut down his statements and his soliloquies to something that he could deliver, and he could deliver it well. And the verbiage was like, because you wouldn't want You wouldn't want that Arnold saying the same things that he would have said in kindergarten cop
Or the
to
other
the
one,
boy.
yeah, later in his career.
Because he didn't have that understanding.
Yeah.
Then, now he understood it, and he could change, and he could come and say, I can be soft. And then I could turn around and grab this guy by the throat and come back and say, I'm sorry that you had to see that, my friend. Let's go forward.
My friend's tired. He's sleeping. No, I've never read the books, but I heard that Howard was out of his mind and severely depressed, and he believed that he would have to sit at the typewriter, and at night, Conan would appear inside his house with his axe and stand behind him, and Howard wasn't allowed to turn around, and he would have to write the book, and Conan would not leave until the book was
And he
finished.
would dictate the
And
tales.
sometimes he would sit there
Wow.
for like 16 hours at the.
Wow.
Just, yeah, he had
out
a
of his
lot of
fucking mind.
psychiatric
He had a
problems.
lot of
Plus,
problems.
This was an incredibly creative mind.
Yeah.
It's like Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Lovecraft is another one who was
Totally out of their minds.
this. I mean, we're not talking about being short of French fry for your Happy Meal. They're not even in the freaking building.
Right.
Yeah. The fries are outside the dumpster. Not even part of the equation anymore. Well, even so, what else did I did Time Machine, and I have the Men on the Moon. I haven't read that one yet. I grabbed a bunch of them, but I'm like, I'm going to read these to see how good they are. And yeah, we're
One of the ones I'd like to see made again, or made finally, is the Clive Cussler books. So
the
he
cowboy
did.
stories.
No, he did Sahara, which is the Clive Cussler stories are about a guy who is retired Navy Special Operations.
Okay.
And he works for a federal agency that is basically like NOAA. So they call the agency NUMA, and the whole premise is that he goes around doing all of these wonderful things with oceanography and things like that, and the whole purpose. But because he's got this background in Special Operations Group, his best friend works with him. They work for a retired admiral who was their commander while they were in Special Operations Group. And so they always seem to end up in these places where they have to go after these bad guys who are doing these horrible ecological destruction things.
Well, that would be good. I'm surprised that hasn't cut off.
They only made one film, and I think that's because Cussler was very disappointed in the way they tried to present these things. Because his books are really well, but they lend themselves well to this type of a film, but you can't do it cheap. You can't do it half-assed. And what's his name? All right.
Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey played in Sahara. He played the lead character. Did a great job. And I could see him doing it. There's a you remember the movie Race the Titanic?
I remember that there was a movie.
Yeah. Clive Cussler wrote the original story, but he wanted his name pulled off of the movie because it was so bad. So in his book, Cussler was an engineer, and he was involved, and he opened up as a private entity, NUMA, which that's what it was about. They do all of these wonderful things, oceanography. And so the book, before they found the Titanic, the way he wrote the book, it was all possible. Okay, well, if we found it like this, these are some engineering things that we might be able to do. If we can find it, we might be able to bring it about. So there's some really, really interesting things still. Yeah. Great tales, but it's one of those cases where somebody said, no, we're going to make money off of this. We're going to make money by doing this stupid.
This is what the people want. Maybe.
They invested, but they want a say in the plot, and they want this to happen. No, that's not in the book. They don't care about that.
And that's not the story.
Yeah.
They don't care about the story. Care about money.
Kind of funny about the the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit was the fact that why would you change nothing, you would be killed. You understand?
Yeah, leave it alone.
People will come and find you.
It's now, yeah. What time is it? We've been beating on things for hours now.
Yeah.
Hours.
So we're freezing up.
Oh, that's what it is? Yeah.
Is that cold?
This is frozen.
Yeah, we should probably call it a night then.
Yeah. So this area has all. This is frozen down here, and it's starting to.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah, so that's why we're running low. And look, the tank pressure, because it's frozen down there, it can't build any more pressure. Right?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Want to shut it down for the night then?
Yeah, we can.
Usually what I do is, in the summertime, I rarely have to worry about this.
Right.
When it's cold, I fill this bucket full of water, and that'll let me run a little bit longer.
Right.
I have been out here where it's been cold enough. I've been working, and the thing is running full tilt boogie, and it starts to get a little bit of ice in the very bottom of that bucket.
Oh, really?
Well, I've been working this thing hard. It's cold out tonight.
So I'm a scoutmaster for a Boy Scout troop over there. One of the funniest things was the boys, we went camping. If you call this camping, but you could rent the barracks at Fort Navajo by Blacksmith.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that way we could have them, later on we would go camping with someone. Nice place where it's warm, but the guys can go out and do whatever. And they had to cook, because they have to cook. And so they all had their propane stoves. And it's 10 degrees outside, and their flame is big. And they're trying to boil hot dogs.
That is very close.
And the whole thing's completely iced over. And like, this is not going to go well for you.
Hook.
No. What was his name? Rugio? Rubio? No.
Rufio.
Is that what it was?
Yep.
Yeah, Rufio.
But what's the old man's name in the beginning? I've lost my marbles.
Yes.
And Robin Williams is like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the brother.
And then later, the big fat kid gives him the marbles. He's like, here's his marbles. Hey, he did lose his marbles. Oh yeah, he did. So the joke works on many levels.
Yep.
That is a good one. Yeah, I've seen that
Right
movie.
on.
That's one of the movies that came out when I worked at the video store.
Yeah.
And I've seen that many times.
So many movies came out when I worked at the video store. That was a great job. It's a shame
That was a fun job.
I miss, well, not just the Kevin Costner lady and the fan club thing, but I miss, let me get this right here, and then bring this back. At Video Update at 48th Street in Indian School, Tuesday was 99-cent Tuesday. And I kind of worked it where eventually I was a team lead. So nobody wanted to work on Tuesday. Tuesday to them was annoying and stupid.
Oh.
And I'm like, no, Tuesday's awesome. I want to work Tuesday. The truth of the matter is that all of the little old ladies in the area would come with their little spiral notebooks, and they would go up and down the drama and mystery aisle, and they would have all the titles written down in the books, and stars next to how good it was, and check marks next to how many times they had watched it. So, you and I were glued to cable when it first came in. So I watched a lot of movies that I normally would not have gone to see the theater, or I was too,
Oh yeah.
And there's good stuff out there.
There actually is. We missed a lot of good movies. The Big Chill could come out today.
I still have not seen that.
It's about a bunch of couples that get together in a big house, and well, guess what happens?
Yeah.
Random hookups and lots of drama.
Yeah.
But there isn't any. There's only the music that they're all singing together would change.
Right.
Beyond that, it's high school reunion people that rent a house and they all end up hooking up with each other's partners.
Mm-hmm. That makes me why I would never watch it.
Yeah. Well, talking about stupid fun movies that are pointless and they're just fun. Movies like Cannonball Run and Smokey and the Bandit. These are car porn, fun, stupid movies.
You can't find Cannonball Run. They're streaming Cannonball Run, or it's not just whatever the reason is.
I wonder why. That's like Jackie Chan's first movie in America.
Oh, was he in that?
Yeah, he's in the Japanese car. Where remember, he beats up everybody during the big fight when the road's closed. The bikers are winning, and then he shows up and starts beating the crap out of everyone.
Well, he was with.
He splits his pants in the crotch, and then he runs away. We laughed about that for years.
His partner was Jaws in the car.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, his partner was Jaws. Because he's the techie guy.
The little guy was in the
Jaws, and then Jaws is.
In Cannonball Run, it was two little Asian guys.
Well, then it must have been part
Might
two
have been.
because
Part 2.
because he had Jaws was his partner, and
That
he's
sounds
out
like
there,
two.
and Jackie Chan is kicking ass and beating people up, and here comes Jaws, and he's just like.
No, the best is I can't remember the actor's name, but he's the guy that kills Patrick Swayze in Ghost. And I can't remember what vehicle they're traveling in, but the one dude's kind of like a bumpkin, and he's punching this biker, and he's not getting anywhere. And he walks up with like a 2x4, like, man, you wouldn't last 5 minutes on a New York subway, and he just beats the shit out of this guy with a plank of wood. It's awesome. I mean, it's not real, but
It's World Wrestling Entertainment.
it pretty much is. And then Roger Moore gets slapped by the big bald guy. I love that movie.
Was Jamie Farr in Cannonball
That's
Run?
the second one, I
Second
think.
one, okay.
When he's sitting there and
With Frank Sinatra and
he has his personal assistant, who is there, his slave, and they have the woman that stands on the side of the road and goes like this. And he pulls over the car and goes, "Yes, ma'am, what are you doing out here?" Guy puts a gun to his head. "How dare you put a gun to my head? See me!" And he sticks his head out. So, as I was saying, my dear.
yes, we do. Good time. But I'm hoping for the comeback of Stupid Funny. Especially going through all these movies with that. But again, they got the whole world at their fingertips.
Well, yes. Everything else and it's different.
You're not stuck being high at 2 a.m. with nothing to. Oh my God, what movie is this?
Yeah, there is no limit to water.
Have you ever seen stupidity in action? Come here.
Here, let's get a front row seat.
They're used to seeing.
Yeah, they got TikTok. It's all over there.
Yes, everywhere.
It's the 15 seconds of stupid.
Yeah.
I shouldn't knock it. We've got to do that stuff if we want to survive as a podcast and a.
Gotta do the short.
I did tell you were a member, right? Ron Hill, ladies and gentlemen. But you've been in other videos, so it's yeah. Secret Masons texting.
No, you saw what I posted on Facebook.
Yeah.
I had one brother.
I can't remark to anything or post it for a month because I'm in trouble with Facebook for yelling about.
I'm surprised.
Probably yelling about Islam, probably. Or
I'm
something.
surprised I'm not in trouble, but because I lambasted Trump because the things that he did hurt my sons.
Wait, we're not going to talk
And my
about
kids,
politics on the
but
show,
that's-
remember?
no.
Unless it's old politics.
But that was the thing that got me going.
So Laura sent me that picture. My wife, I bought her one of those little tabletop
Oh, sweet.
things.
So tell her you got a forge.
So I sent back that picture.
This is what we're building, honey.
You need to tell her that this is my favorite cigar lighter. It is, and I have video of me lighting my cigar.
Hey, thank you.
Yep.
There we are.
Laura's like, that looks more complicated. Okay, that's more complicated.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit complicated.
But I had a brother that told me my posts were harshing his teeth.
Oh.
and that you know he wasn't going to be able to follow me anymore. And I said, you know, I told him, I said, I understand. I recognize that. That's fine. I can understand that, and I'm sorry. And then he started to ask a little bit about what was going on, and I explained to him.
Right. And
I told him that the things that are happening, there are folks out there that say that it's okay for these things to happen to my kids and my grandchildren.
Right.
And some of them were brothers. And he comes back, damn. I said, yeah.
Yeah.
So then I posted on the Facebook. I said, you know, I understand if you have a difficulty. My public service announcements. I said, I understand if you have a difficulty with things that I post. But those of you who know me and you see me go to this level,
why I did this.
Perhaps you should ask what happened and why before you.
This seems really out of character for you. Yeah. It is.
Well, I don't normally go with this.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had a lot of people respond back to that. I had a brother that tried to call me while I was on the phone with this guy.
I'm all busy right now.
I'm gonna have to talk to Tori later.
People blacksmithing on my driveway, and I'm in the middle of a meeting.
But it's kind of that, you know, it's that thing you think, okay, I was a first responder for a very long time, and so I spent my life being the guy that ran toward danger, so that everybody else could run away from it.
Right.
And so, you know, I mean, the people who know me understand that that's who I am in this. And so when I had guys that I grew up with who unfortunately since have passed, used to say, when you refuse to talk, I know there's a problem. So when you blow your top
about shit,
then I know somebody's going to die. So it's like, well,
Steve's day is up now.
What happened? Well, you know, the joke used to be that they would wait for the phone call, and they say, right, I'm on my way, shovel's in the car.
Okay, so on the same damn we're old. So I said to the guys I work with, chat room, Fabian, oh yeah, okay, and Tanner and Jordan, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Chat room? What is that? And then I pulled out all stops. BBS. They had no concept of this. And then do you know Mike Clark? Which he's recovering now from cancer. He's doing really good. He's one of Paul's buddies.
I don't know Mike.
The computer guy. And Mike's fun thing to do back in the day, in the early days of the BBS, he would go on and handguns kill babies for Jesus, and then he would log off for like 2 weeks, and he'd come back, and there'd be like just people screaming at him, and you're the devil, and he would laugh his ass off reading all of them. I'm like, oh my God, that's brilliant. So since that, I'm now, it's a troll.
Yeah,
you're a
proto level trolling.
Yeah. But he was like the original troll back in the day. So and it's like I said to the people, why would you engage me in conversation when I'm being hostile about something? I've done the rent fair, and I'm the last person you want to argue with. I'm mean. I've made grown adults have called me a human shit stain and then blocked me on Facebook and never to hear from them again. This is, I'm not nice on Facebook unless it's like for us, for our stuff, or for the the podcast.
I tell people that all the time. I was talking to one of the highest ranking Masons in the state the other day, and we got on a subject, somebody, do you take offense easily? And I told him, I said, I was a first responder for a great many years. I worked with firefighters, okay? We used to make the police officers cry. I can swear a blue streak wide enough and dark enough that I can make a Navy man crawl into a corner and call for his mom.
Do you take offense easily? From strangers? Absolutely not. From people that I know? Oh, hell yeah. I don't like that. What? What do you mean? This is everything you love. No, it's not.
Yeah, that's...
But no, that's what I'm hoping for, is back of the stupid movies that'll, distract everyone.
Hope. There's always hope.
Yeah. Well, everybody's so mad at the new Snow White movie. It got 1 million. I was watching The Critical Drinker. It got 1 million dislike views on YouTube for the new trailer.
I didn't know they were. I don't like those. Just as a general statement, the live action redo. I watched Jungle Book. I think it was the first one they did.
Yeah, I don't like it.
It was one of those
back in the 90s. The Jungle Book
it
one?
came out. No, it was in 2000s. 2000.
Oh, not the one with what's his name from the '90s, because that was a big
No,
deal.
it
back
was
then.
the first of the redos by Disney now, where they're recycling them all. And do not care for it. Don't ever have to watch anymore. I'm okay.
Hannah and Shane, because they were still together back, 2 years ago or whatever it was. Lion King. Lion King. It's not a live action. Those are all CGI animals. It's not live action. Stop saying it's live action. That's a cartoon like the last one. And they went and they were all excited to go see it.
Better cartoon.
Yeah.
And the faces of just utter disappointment and regret for it wasn't good. It wasn't.
The term is uncanny valley.
Yeah. What is the other one? The subcost fantasy.
Oh, Sunflower. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not. You're gonna sit. You're trying to revive an old show and remake money on something you've already done. When, dude, just spend the money for the new copyright or the new rights to. Ed's right. They were doing great with John Carter and the whole. That's a whole series. That's like 8 books by Burroughs.
Plus, like Dune has got how many books were in that series from Dune, and it goes far beyond
Like
just
9?
what's been shown. There are a lot of those that can be done and can be carried forward. But we've talked about this numerous times. The problem that you have is the normal movie-going audience will not sit for more than 2 hours, and most of them don't like to sit for more than about an hour 45 minutes.
Right.
So you either have to break it out, and then you end up with Lord of the Rings